Hey gang, I got something for you. We all know email marketing is one of the few activities that directly leads to sales for our businesses. I love sending messages to my list and watching the responses, leads, and sales come in day and night. But email marketing has been beaten and bruised by a lot of shady marketers over the years. That's why I listen to a podcast called The Email Marketing Show. Rob and Kennedy teach psychology-based email marketing in a way that is enjoyable for you and your subscribers, making email valuable and extremely effective. The show is fun, no matter what your email savviness might be. Subscribe by searching for the Email Marketing Show wherever you get your podcasts or visit emailmarketingheroes.com.
Entrepreneurs Enigma is a podcast for the ups and downs of entrepreneurship. It's about the wins and the fails that we all face being entrepreneurs, and how we learn from adversity. Every week I talk to a different entrepreneur with a story to tell. I'm Seth Goldstein. Come with me on the journey. This is Entrepreneurs Enigma. Let's get started. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Entrepreneurs Enigma podcast. I'm Seth. I'm here with Tim Hines, the marketing starter. He wrote the book literally on marketing starting. I think you can say it that way, starting in marketing, being a generalist and being specific, but, doing the whole gambit. He also has his own agency. Guess what it's called? Oh, he has a podcast called The Marketing Starter. Is your company called Marketing Starter as well, or?
Yeah, Marketing Starter Group. We kind of just use the brand name across for everything
Exactly.
right now.
He's a very efficient marketer. And
Lazy
honestly,
or
it makes
efficient?
sense.
Either one, yeah.
No, but it makes sense. And you got a good brand, you run with it. I mean, I have like 5 brands. It's a nightmare.
That's
It's
a
better
lot
to
of
have
that's a
one
lot of
brand.
logos, a lot of brand management for sure.
I have 4. Excuse me, I have 4. I have Goldstein Media. I have Digital Marketing Dive. I have Entrepreneurs Enigma, and I have Marketing Magento.
Yeah.
I should just shove them all under Goldstein Media, I
There you
did
go.
at one point, and I took them out. Like, I can't make my mind up, and Google gets really fed up with me on where the 301 redirects I have to do on that. But regardless, this show's not about me; it's about Tim. Let's get back to Tim here. Tim, how you doing? You are a Chicagoite. Is that what it's Chicagoite?
Chicagoan transplant that has moved all over the country, but yeah, we're from Chicago originally and now living in Austin, Texas.
Yeah. Another hotbed of innovation. I mean, Chicago also has a very big theater scene.
Yes. Yeah, the theater scene in Chicago is awesome. Good tech scene too. Obviously, huge financial capital. But just got a little chilly for me, along with everybody else, I think, at some point in time.
Oh, my God. It's at the Great White North.
It was 40 degrees there when I was watching Cubs opening day this year. And I was just like, that's why I moved. It's April. And
that's ridiculous. 40 degrees. I mean, but you don't get the swings like you do in Philadelphia. Philadelphia will be 39 one day, will be 72 the next in the spring.
Yeah, that's
and that's before global warming. That's just normal Philadelphia spring. It doesn't make up its mind.
Yeah.
It snows one day and it's a heat wave the next. It's like, and then it's a monsoon for the past 3 days. So go figure.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so you've done a lot, to say the least.
I've been around the marketing block a little bit, almost 20 years doing the marketing shtick. And it's kind of led me to some interesting places of working in big media at the Tribune Media Group back in the day. Yeah, it was pretty cool. Got laid off from there, of course, during the great newspaper shrinkage.
It's not rite of passage if you don't get laid off from the news media.
Right? Yes. Yeah, and you have a journalist background, so you know what's up.
Badge of honor to be laid off from the news industry.
Yeah, I'll just keep stitching them onto my jacket of marketing with all my badges of honor, including published author now, which is cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. So you wrote the book, Marketing Starter.
Yeah.
And it's about rethinking everything and starting how to think about marketing as more of a generalist and being moldable, which I think is really cool because every job you get in the marketing world is different.
True. And I think being flexible, being moldable, the way that you said it so eloquently is super important. But the core essence of the book really is, is taking that generalist type of mindset, but in the way that like an entrepreneur would do it when they were starting their own company. Like, think of like that startup guy or gal that's going in. Yeah, that's trying to figure out like, oh my gosh, how do I build this business? I have to wear many hats. I have to do this. I have to make this group of people happy. I have to test with customers. I actually have to make the product. Marketers thinking that same way, I think, can be really successful if they come in with that type of mentality, and then they find themselves in interesting career paths, kind of like mine. Hopefully not, getting the badge of honor of being laid off from a media company, but having the experience to build cool shit at a lot of different companies, I think is a really cool thing that a marketing starter can be a part of. And one of my badges of honor, I'd say, is actually that I've really never stayed within the same industry for more than 3 years. I've worked in media, I've worked in event ticketing, digital advertising, universal communications, media for business, property technology. So they've kind of all been in different industries, but technology's kind of been the main theme in B2B SaaS. But it's kind of fun because I get to learn these different industries and nuances and vernacular and connect with different people. And that's kind of been a cool badge of honor that's been in my story, which I talk about in the book too.
It's interesting because you've done both, the entrepreneur and the entrepreneur. Of course, I eloquently said, as you called me eloquent, which is no one's ever called me eloquent before, so that's very odd. You obviously don't know me that well.
Yeah. But, I was just trying to give you a nice boost to start the day off.
Thank you. I'm very eloquent. And my wife's going to listen to this and say, you're not eloquent. Don't delude yourself. Anyhow.
Is anyone from Philly eloquent?
You've done the entrepreneur, or as I so eloquently said before the show, extrapreneur. You've done the, I had to throw myself under the bus at least once on the podcast. But so you've done a lot. Now you're doing the consulting thing for yourself, right?
Yeah. So I've kind of spun off my knowledge just over time of coming into companies and helping them kind of refresh or build some initiatives from scratch, think strategically, go to markets, product marketing, things like that. I've taken those underneath my little consulting hat. And so I work with companies on trying to help get stuff started.
That's awesome.
Right along with the theme.
There's a trend there.
Yes.
We're going to take a quick break, hear from our sponsors, and get right back to the show.
Support for Entrepreneurs Enigma and all the shows in the Marketing Podcast Network is provided by Storyblock. There's no better way to future-proof your business than to switch to a headless content management system. This means one place to update all your digital content. 82% of those who have switched to headless, like Storyblock, report better productivity, efficiency, and revenue. Sign up for a free account to test and see for yourself at storyblock.com/enigma. It's Storyblock without the C.com/enigma.
So since you've been in both the entrepreneur and the entrepreneur space, now that you're in the entrepreneur space, what's the best thing about being an entrepreneur?
I think it's the same thing that every entrepreneur will say, which is you get to set your own hours and work for yourself and decide if you're going to do a 3 or 4 day work week and take the rest of the week off. But, I think that's like the rose colored glasses, because you still have your bosses, which are your clients, which you have to meet their demands. And then you end up putting in a whole bunch of extra time. But I think really it comes down just to the freedom to know that, like, hey, I could put a pause on this, or I could go work from the Bahamas if I wanted to, instead of working from my house or having to go into an office. I know some people are going back to hybrid and stuff now, but I really think it's the same joy that you can get as a marketing starter or an entrepreneur, which is, this is my baby, this is my thing. Like, even though I'm putting in all this extra time and maybe my rose colored glasses have just changed it to regular colored ones, and I'm seeing through the the bullshit I was told when I started my own company. It's my thing. I could choose to grow it. I'm self-sustainable doing what I love, and that passion kind of really helps to float you, I think. And so that's what I like about doing my own thing. And then you also get to help people in the way that you want to, oftentimes if you're working for another company, it's like you're working for them on their mission, on their time, with the way that they want to see things done. When you have your own company, you set your own mission and you're helping people the way that you want to. And ultimately I think that kind of, helps to bring that drive out of you a little bit. So yeah.
That's fun. All right, then on the flip side, what's the scariest thing? Because you've had, you look at your career. You have a few badges of honor there, and that's scary too. But what's the most scary thing about being an entrepreneur? Because you're on your own now.
Well, there it is. You're on your own, so you have to be okay with taking all of the responsibility for the good and the bad. My wife often will critique me or put some urgency in me, going like, hey, one of your clients just dropped off. You need to get another one, because I know we could live off of the ones that you have, but If another one goes, then I'm going to really start to be worried. So you got to make sure you have, your client.
Spouses are great for lighting fires under your ass.
Yes, my wife definitely lights a fire under my ass to keep my business going. So, I think one of the things that entrepreneurs often get scared about stepping out on their own is like, oh my gosh, like I have the steady paycheck. I'm worried about, having to make ends meet and doing that. And, I say like, okay, well, maybe before you step out on your own, make sure you maybe have a little bit of a cushion. Make sure you have, if you have a partner, like a spouse that, has a job that's consistent, like you can go sort of build your business. That always helps. But if you don't, save up a little bit of a cushion so that way, like you have a little bit of runway, so you're not eating box macaroni and ramen. You can actually take care of yourself.
Nothing wrong with that, but
nothing wrong with it, but it's not healthy.
You gotta choose to eat it. It's better than when you have to eat it.
Yes, exactly. You want the ability to choose, not the actual need necessarily, because you got to take care of yourself. If you're not physically healthy and mentally healthy, your business is going to suffer too. So, I would say that we have to make sure that we're doing that as entrepreneurs, that we are taking a step back and making sure we have some preparedness, and that we are looking at it. Well, here, let me actually go back 1 second.
Yeah.
One thing that I think is interesting is that when people are working full time, even if they're entrepreneurs or if they're company men, company women, they're like, this is my security. Yeah. There's no such thing as job security.
There isn't.
There's not. So even if you leave that secure job and go start your own company, that risk would be there whether you left the company or stayed with the company. That company could get acquired. That company could go under. A lot of things have happened in the market recently, and you could lose that job. And then you would have gone, shoot, would have been nice to have started my consulting practice or my XYZ business while I was still there. So I had
almost
that
like have a
to
side
lean on.
hustle. Almost like have a side hustle. Get a side hustle going. That's your security. That's interesting.
Yeah, so side hustles can often turn into your main hustle, which is kind of what I was doing. I always had a little bit of extra side hustle that I was doing that turned into now what I'm doing full time, which is helping people with getting their marketing off the ground. Yeah. And whether I was doing that as a job, which was pretty much the main theme that I talk about in the book, I was also kind of dabbling and helping other companies, whether they were big or small, offering some consulting advice, offering some tactical support. And then ultimately that, to me, I was like, I'm gonna chase that and make that my thing.
And you even wrote the book on it.
And I wrote the book on it, which I think is kind of interesting for this podcast, because this is a podcast for entrepreneurs and for people who are looking to become, or what do we call them? Wantrepreneurs, right?
Entrepreneurs, exactly.
Yeah, you want to become an entrepreneur. And my book kind of targets maybe both of them. So it's the people who are, it's people who are looking at going out and starting their own business and how they can take that marketing lens and use marketing to help get their business up and going, which I think is super, super important. That's one piece of advice I give entrepreneurs a lot is, hey, I'm looking to start my own business. What should I be thinking about? I'm like, well, you should obviously make sure you have a great product fit. You have to make sure that the market is there. You have to make sure that the customer actually wants this. You have to understand their needs. All of that at the beginning is marketing. There's a lot of marketing importance that goes into launching a business. And so you got to do your research and your homework on the marketing front before you actually go to market. Like that's why it's called marketing. Get it? Right? Exactly. Come on, entrepreneurs, you could do this. Yes. So do your market research, but then also for the ones that are looking to be entrepreneurs and stay within a company, that's cool too. But you can take that entrepreneurial type of attitude and apply it to what you do internally. So you really treat what you do as your own business on the inside, treat it as your baby, and it'll lead to some interesting success, I think.
What is the most important thing to carry with you all the time? This is the question I warned you about.
You mean besides my book?
Besides your book, yes.
I was going to say that. You should carry that with you all the time.
You should definitely carry that 4 or 5 and sell them on the street. Like, busk.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just going to go hawk them on the streets of Philadelphia. Hey, who wants one? Who wants one?
Exactly.
What's the most important thing to carry with you all the time? Well, besides the general attitude and the caring of your passion, right? Never forgetting what that is, having that with you. I think when you look at great entrepreneurs, or if you ever step into an accelerator or one of those pitch nights at like a startup event, those are fun. Yeah. And you look in the eyes and you look at the face of the of that entrepreneur who's actually doing that pitch, and you can just see it in them, that fire, right? That they love what they're doing. They're so excited to be there, and they are here to change the world. Like they always say that, like, oh, we're going to change the world. It's like, okay, well, pump your brakes a little bit, but you appreciate the passion that they have. So
passion is definitely passion there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So whether that's a passion for your product or wanting to change the world or your mission or your customers or marketing itself, like for me, right? I have a passion for marketing, hence why I'm writing the book and sharing all that I do. Keep that passion with you all the time. And I think that also ties back to the great thing that Simon Sinek said, which is starting with why, which I think we're all familiar with his book. And I'm definitely a student of the Simon Sinek School. I love his stuff. I mentioned his book. I mentioned his book and stuff in my book, and always carrying your why, never forgetting that, I think is also important.
Yes. Oh, it's incredibly important. Yeah. So Tim, what's it like writing your own book and self-publishing?
Oh man. Well, it's a journey, and I see why not everyone does it, much like why not everyone starts a company.
Yeah.
And if you take a step back and you ask yourself the question, what's the difference between an entrepreneur and an entrepreneur, or an entrepreneur and everybody else? Is that anyone can have an idea, and an entrepreneur actually makes that idea happen or attempts to try.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with like an author too, right? It's like a lot of people I've talked to are like, man, I could write a book. I should write a book. And I'm like, do it. What are you waiting for? Have you put pen to paper or fingers to keyboard? Have you? Well, no. Okay. Well, then you're not an author until you try.
You're one author. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, like I'm just an average dude out here just doing marketing, just doing my thing, and I just decided to start writing. And so it's quite a process though, not to make it sound easy. Writing it is literally a third of the effort.
Oh my God. The more authors I talk to, they're all like, writing was the easy part.
Yeah.
Editing was the hard part, because you like say, wait, this whole chapter stinks. We have to rewrite this whole chapter, and you're like, oh crap, I have to pull back in and go back in and figure out what the hell I was writing about. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So writing is definitely a good chunk of it, but not the part that gets it over the hump. The over the hump is the editing, the formatting, the self-publishing process, if you go that way. Because if you have a publisher, then they're going to take care of all of it for you. If you're self-publishing, then you have to figure all that stuff out yourself.
I know.
The designing, and then ultimately the launching and promoting, which is the phase that I'm in now. So thank you so much for having me on the show to talk about it.
Everyone go get the book at Amazon.
Boom. On Amazon, please. And also leave a great review once you've read it, because I know you're going to like it.
Absolutely.
So it's quite a process, but it feels good to kind of have that, again, another badge of honor, right? Another thing.
A good badge of honor. Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing off the plate that's kind of like in the world now that I can point back to and be like, I made that. That's pretty cool. I did that. That's my creation.
Yeah. It's neat. It's neat. I always say I have a book in me, and I'm like, I just have to find the time to sit down and do it. I mean, especially these podcasts. I mean, people are saying with Digital Marketing Dive, that's a book right there with all the stories and stuff in there. And I'm like, it is, but I got to sit down and do it. I got to get them all transcribed and pull out the stories, talk to the person who I talk to, say, hey, is it cool? Is it in this book? Because, of course, being a podcaster, it's not always a straight line in how you go about asking for permission to do stuff. So you kind of have to go back and say, hey, I want to put you in my book. I'll give you a credit, and that kind of thing. So I got to figure out the whole legality of stuff and all that good stuff. So
it's a lot of work, but I believe in you. And if you need help,
thank you.
I'm here for you, my friend. You just give me a ring, and I will coach you through it. But it just starts with your outline. Just make your outline, know what you want to talk about, and then go find those podcasts that match those pieces, and then just start writing. But you got to book time. So my advice for any author, one thing that I found is actually making time on your calendar, booking that time. If it's 1 day a week, 2 days a week, whatever. This is my writing time. Here's my 2-hour block on Tuesday. Here's my 2-hour block on Sunday, and just adhere to that. Make that time. As long as you're doing something to move the book forward, that's the only way you're going to do it, because it takes so long to write it. So,
how long did it take you to write this book?
Yeah, it took me about a year of writing while also working and doing every other thing. But it was a couple days a week that I dedicated to it. So some authors I know can just sit down and crank and get a book done in 6 weeks.
Yeah, I don't know these people.
2 months, but then they're really just focusing on it for a huge chunk of time in a short period. And that's not something that I've ever really been good at. I'm very ADD. I like to multitask.
Yeah, that's
I'm
my problem.
desperately.
I'm so ADD, I can't figure out how to even start sometimes.
I would just make sure you're blocking that time to try to make it happen. But it took me about a year to write, and then maybe another 6 to just get everything put together, formatted. Finding the right people to help you do that kind of stuff when you're self-publishing is also kind of a challenge. Luckily, my sister worked for a publishing company as an editor, so I had her kind of help me find the additional copy editors and other people. I had hired a designer. I had to get the actual formatter to put it all together for me. So it's a lot.
Exactly. So Tim, where can people find you?
Yeah, they can find me at tnhines.com, and you can find my book and all my other resources and everything there. You can also go to themarketingstarter.com, and you can, of course, find me on LinkedIn and every other social at TN Hines. That's it.
So, and also, we have to mention that Tim's podcast, entitled The Marketing Starter Podcast, so there's a trend here, is also on the MPN network with me. So definitely go subscribe to that. And it's a fantastic podcast about marketing. What a surprise, we're on the Marketing Podcast Network. Kind of goes with the flow. Of course, mine's kind of, Entrepreneurs Enigma was kind of a oddball in that mix, but.
An enigma in the mix.
It's an enigma in the mix. Hey, I like that. Very good. Tim, thanks for being on, my friend.
Thank you so much.
That was a great show. Hey, if you're enjoying Entrepreneurs Enigma, please give us a review on the podcast directory of your choice. We're on all of them. And these reviews really help others find the show. Also, if you're getting value from the show and want to buy me a coffee, go to the show notes and click on the link to help me stay awake while I bring you more great episodes to your ears. That's in the show notes, and I look forward to the next episode. Take care, guys. Goldstein Media hopes you have enjoyed this episode. This podcast is one of the many great shows on the MPN Marketing Podcast Network.
This podcast is coming to you on MPN, the Marketing Podcast Network. There's another show on MPN you might enjoy as well. I'm Jason Falls, host of Digging Deeper, where we make creativity your business advantage. We interview the brands, creatives, strategists, and thought leaders that make the world of advertising go round. Give it a listen, won't you? Find us online at cornet.online/diggingdeeper or by searching for Digging Deeper Cornet wherever you get your podcasts.
This podcast is heard along the Marketing Podcast Network. For more great marketing podcasts, visit marketingpodcasts.net.